Calling page 7, Edgar Samaniago, C350360.
Judge, thank you for calling that. Spiro Gata for someone, and I believe he's in custody on video.
Okay, and for the state?
Mr. Hammer for the state.
Hi, Mr. Hamner. All right, Mr. Ogata, it is your motion. We're going to handle the OR motion first. I did read through your motion, and I also read through the state's opposition as well as their attached exhibits. Is there anything that you wanted to add at this time?
Yes, Judge. I know that you went through the motion. I know, looking at this case, he's been in custody for. I know that we haven't had any addressing of the issue about bail amount. I believe there is a bail amount of $1 million, but going under the Valdez Jimenez following the case, that obviously, Judge, there's several issues, and I think you've read that in my motion, in which states he is full-time, born and raised in Las Vegas. He has employment waiting with his family business, and that varies from landscaping to construction, to even his mom having a secondhand store, and he has people waiting for him to work. The other issue, his entire family is in Las Vegas. He's never had any failure to appear. This is his first and only felony case, and I know it's hitting the top of the scale of cases on felonies, but he has one DUI prior, I believe 2 or 3 years ago. No other felonies. He has not had any other failure to appear. And I know with this amount, just speaking with the family, and I have direct contact with almost all the family members have contacted me regarding this. They can try to come together with some money, but obviously $1 million bail, Judge, is excessive to the point where it's not even somewhat achievable in any way possible. I know under the Valdez Jimenez case, we do have those factors that I went over with you. I'm asking for a bail amount, and I know with the family, I've talked to the family, and I know that there is going to be argument not to change anything on the bail, or even at some point maybe increase the bail or put a no bail. But at this point, Judge, these are allegations. I know there is some court dates set forward. He's been in custody for going on close to a year. We asked, and after speaking with the family, they had available somewhere between 100, and be very frank to the court, $100,000 to $150,000 bail. They can achieve that 15% with a bail bond company, and they've had discussions with bail bond companies. Anything beyond that is going to be unachievable, even to the $1 million mark, obviously. But that's why I brought this motion, Judge. I know that we have, serious charges against him. He's always been, in the community, born and raised here. And like I said, if anything, if you want to put him on the bracelets, a high level, whatnot, he will adhere to whatever the court requirements would be. I'd submit it with that, Judge, and ask for a reduction of bail.
Is it correct that he's already had a Valdez Jimenez hearing in this case, I believe 2 different times?
I didn't see that in any of the notes that I've been given from the public defender's office. That's why I was bringing that. I didn't know it was, and when I talked to him, he doesn't believe it was. And I think it was $1 million, which obviously under Valdez Jimenez, even with that, I mean, it wouldn't be achievable. That's why I brought this motion, Judge. I was unaware of that.
All right. Mr. Hamner.
The court is correct, and this is the 3rd Valdez Jimenez hearing that has been before the court. 2 other judges have examined this. Initially, it was no bail. Judge Bison set it at $1 million. When you look at these factors under Valdez Jimenez, the $1 million bail is appropriate. Valdez Jimenez makes it very clear. If there are people that are either a danger to the community or there's a risk that they may not come back to court, it doesn't matter how much money you have. Valdez Jimenez clearly states you can set an amount higher than they can afford. And this is certainly a candidate where the $1 million bail is absolutely appropriate. This same family structure that is being touted by the defense was when he picked up his DUI case. It was in place when he was out of custody on that case, when he decided to shoot Officer Michelonis in the head and then go and shoot at other officers subsequent to that. The bottom line is the family structure should give this court absolutely no comfort whatsoever, because it's been in place this entire time. He is an absolute danger to the community. You would think someone who is pending serious DUI charges would be minding all their P's and Q's. Instead, what he did was, as recklessly and as dangerously as I can think of, simply went downtown, got a motel with his girlfriend, and then just decided for fun to start shooting at cops. When there are hundreds of people on Las Vegas Boulevard trying to exercise their First Amendment right to protest. He didn't just endanger the lives of these police officers, but every other citizen who was out there, whether it was the travel lodge guests or just regular citizens on Las Vegas Boulevard. So at this point, and you've seen the evidence that was just presented at preliminary hearing, that's not even everything that we have for trial. The evidence is overwhelming. The likelihood of conviction is extraordinarily high. And if he sets a low bail amount and he bails out, he's a huge flight risk. I think he's going to take off. I mean, under these facts, with that video, with the people who identified him, and with all the evidence that he left behind. So at this point, the motion respectfully has not provided anything to offer a changed circumstance to reduce that bail. So we're respectfully asking to deny the motion.
All right. First of all, I do agree that there is some change in circumstance so that I could consider this, in that he is no longer has that another open pending case that has been resolved. So I can consider the motion. Here, the state is seeking continued preventative detention. As we all know, the purpose of bail is twofold: to ensure that the defendant returns to court and keep the community safe. I think those are both at issue here, and it's a serious issue. Mr. Samaniego does have these community ties and a family in Vegas, as well as a limited criminal history. Bail factors weigh so heavily against release, including the incredibly serious nature of these charges he is facing and the extremely high likelihood of conviction based on the witness testimony, based on the video testimony. And ultimately, in reading the state's motion, I find that the facts of this case are far worse than what I had previously believed and what had previously been put in the media, because there's that shooting of the officers who were trying to assist their fallen coworker. There's nothing that has been presented to me here that was not presented to the previous judges. I understand that this $1 million bail does operate as a de facto incarceration, but I do also find that there are no non-monetary conditions that could keep the community safe or really ensure his return to court based on the factors that I've laid out initially. At this point, the motion is denied. We do have the case on for a pretrial conference today. Mr. Ogata, I know that you are fairly new on this case. Will you be able to go forward on a June setting?
No, I spoke with Mr. Hamner in his office a couple of days ago, and he and I looked at that. I will not be proceeding on the June 2nd if I can ask the court for the next setting.
Am I correct that he is uninvoked at this point?
I believe so, Judge.
He waived.
He waived? Okay.
Yes.
Just making sure, because I just want to make sure of that point. So at this point, we aren't able to handle uninvoked defendants on that calendar call or on our June stack. So we would be looking at either the September stack that starts on September 7th, and then there's a 5-week stack after that, or a November stack. Which works best for the parties?
I would ask for a November setting. The state would have been ready to go in June, but we're asking for a November setting. Again, I have a lot of murder cases, and given the change of reopening things up, I think it's going to be very busy for the summer into the fall. So November would be more ideal for our schedule.
Okay, perfect. That's what we'll do. We'll do the November stack, which will be trial date of
November 15, 9 a.m. Calendar call, November 9th, 11 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Anything further from either party?
No, Judge. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Ogata. Thank you, Mr. Hammer.